Welcome to the Real People, Real Business show, where we're talking with business owners who are in the trenches, everyday people who are working hard and have relevant and inspiring stories that you can relate to. Everyone we speak to is actively building and growing their business and is here to share their experiences, lessons, wisdom, and guidance so you can be inspired to take action towards your own goals. Today, I am so excited to welcome Nicole Nett. Nicole has a marketing agency that works with unconventional businesses, and she's unconventional herself. And I know she's got a really unique approach to the work that she does, and I can't wait to hear more about it. So welcome to the show, Nicole, and thanks so much for taking the time to share your story today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. All right, so let's dive into it. Give me the whole lowdown on how you got to where you are today, how your business evolved, all of the cool things that happened to get you in this really interesting brand.
So, I like to joke that it was a whole lot of tripping and falling forward. Because if you were to just look at my resume just in chronological order, the average person would be like, whoa, crazy person, this doesn't make any sense at all. However, what it's done is created this really amazing set of circumstances that I'm able to draw on to push the boundaries of what we can do with our clients. And so it's really exciting. It makes things unique and less, we have to create content because that's what we're supposed to do.
So
we get to have fun.
So give me some of the background. Like what were those stops on your resume?
Well, I started off way back 100 years ago. I was in the Navy, the U.S. Navy, and I was stationed on an aircraft carrier. And so I was the first female in the air department on that ship ever in life. As you can imagine, that was a huge wake-up call at 18, 19 years old. So had some interesting experiences. I had, I like to think career-wise, maybe I peaked then because I worked up in the tower. It was my life was like Top Gun every day. A little less sexy, but still cool. And then I spent an inordinate amount of time in the entertainment industry, specifically music and comedy. So.
Wait, how do you get from the Navy to entertainment? This is
well,
I know your background.
That's probably the key piece of this whole story that would make it all make sense to the people that are listening. So because I was the first, a lot of things, I was the first female in air department, the first female tower supervisor in the Pacific Fleet, and I had a kind of a high profile job. I learned PR real early, real quickly, and real accidentally. I had a different understanding of media at a younger age than a lot of people do. And so that's really what opened the door. It kicked the door down and then created a hole in the wall next to it. That's what kind of launched me into PR, marketing, advertising, that whole world, because I found out that the words that you use and what things look like create the reality for whoever you want it to, for whoever you need that reality to be created for, if that makes sense.
For sure it does. Okay, so keep going.
So got out of the military, then I was married to the military, and that's when I was like, I'm going to be a strong, independent woman, and got into promotions, which led to advertising, which led to, I will never forget this day, I was working for, at the time, Clear Channel. It's now iHeartMedia, the evil empire we used to joke, but they own like half the radio stations in the country, and I was selling radio advertising. And I had a lot of the bars and concert venues and things like that. And so one day I went into my sales manager's office and I'm like, so rather than redoing all of these commercials every week for all of these bar clients, we're going to send everybody to their MySpace page. And they're like, what's a MySpace? Do we have a space? It was an archaic conversation. So what I started doing was creating MySpace pages, I'm dating myself, for all of these bars and clubs and concert venues so that they were able to keep up with their events. And I will never forget this day. My manager at the time said, you should stop wasting your time on social media. It's just a fad. I have my own company and he's unemployed now. So whatever. I think it worked out for me.
That's awesome. So you're selling advertising. you're selling promotions for these bars and these nightclubs.
Mhm. And doing these events. I was an event coordinator for the Funny Bone Comedy Club. And so I was working with all of these comedians, like big names. I've worked with just about everybody. And so many of them didn't have their social on point. And I'm like, if you just post this on Monday, then people will come see you on a Friday. And it has just naturally evolved. That was kind of parallel with a lot of like concert promoting, and I had an artist that I managed. And so my very suburban life was wrapped up in hip hop and comedy. A lot of F words every day.
So now you're in this place where you are working in a marketing capacity as an agency. And for whom? Like you serve unconventional businesses. So who do you serve?
So we do still work with, music artists as well as comedians. And then additionally, what I have found, and this whole year has been a year of transformation within my business, and we can get into that in a little bit. But what I've found is the things that, that star factor that people are chasing when you're in the entertainment industry. It's the same star factor that people are chasing if they're just a small business. They want people to be like raving, screaming, lunatic fans for whatever it is that they're selling. And I had a few medical clients, and that's kind of opened the door to a stream of referrals, because there's so many physicians that have walked that really fine line with, well, I don't want to say anything, I have to be buttoned up and conservative and not really utilize social, but also what we're offering is groundbreaking. It's cutting edge. And, the doctors a lot of times are personalities themselves. So we're employing a lot of the same tactics that we've used for a rapper, for a plastic surgeon, because they all want the same thing, which is those fans that will support whatever their ventures are.
Right. And there's this emergence of these sort of celebrity doctors now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got a bunch of these guys who are coming up who are, I follow like Stephen Gundry, and
Yeah.
He's not so much the flashy profile, but he's certainly built a business around
Right.
his medical degree, right? And the things that he's been standing for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a unique position on all of the stuff he stands for and that sort of thing. But there's all these other guys who are legitimate doctors but are building a business around it, and I think that's super interesting.
Well, and I think what we're seeing right now, which is, what a time to be alive, but all of these tactics that and strategies that have been kind of, oh, well, I can't have that, or I can't do that because I'm not famous, or I can't make this happen because I'm not this, that, or all of these strategies are accessible to everyone, whether you're a physician, whether you have a little brick and mortar boutique on Main Street, USA, if you're in direct sales, there is no barrier. There's no barrier, because whatever you are, there is somebody that needs it, or somebody that can relate to that, or somebody that can resonate. So if you're just putting yourself out there, your people they exist. You just got to find them.
So you're not working with just anybody. So
No.
You find that like your ideal clients, do they need to have something going for them in terms of their personality that'll allow them to actually embrace that?
Yeah. And, it's not even a matter of they have to have it. They just have to be open to finding it, because everyone has it. Everyone has a thing. And even the most shy, introverted, I don't want to make a video, I don't want to, the arm's length, even if you're arm's length from anything media, you still have that thing, that's something that people will relate to, that people will find interesting or educational or entertaining. And so it's just a matter of, let's get to the thing. And
so are you helping them figure out how to be that person?
Yeah. And it's so funny. It's so funny, Stephanie, because there are some days that I'm literally just not talking to any humans, and I'm in front of my computer and I'm just typing away. And then there are other days that I honestly feel like, I don't know, like Claire Huxtable or Tony Rock. I don't somebody, because I'm like, okay, no, let's get to the bottom of this, guys. Like, when you say that, how does that make you feel? I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just trying to get to the good stuff underneath the, the cake and underneath the icing. So it makes a day-to-day interesting.
And are you finding like you're having to convince people that they can be that, right?
Oh, yeah.
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 Do you ever go and like, what do you look for with people? Do you ever go and sort of snipe them, or are you waiting for them to come to you?
I've been really fortunate in that I would say a solid 95% of my business has just been referrals. I'm sure there's some science or something there. That's a good percentage. But there are a few people where I'll see that, like, how you see something and all the pieces are there and you're like, you know what? I've got the ribbon. Like, you have all of the pieces. I just need to tie it together. So, if I happen to come across somebody like that, I'm like, I might try, like, come just work with me. But, I think most people, once they have that moment where they realize, oh, I am exactly what I need to be. Now we just need to find the people that resonate with that. Once they realize that there's a crowd for everyone, then they're a lot more open, and they're willing to, I say play. They're willing to play with that. They're willing to play with their personality. They're willing to try some new things.
And now, are you sticking to entertainment? Or
No.
I know you've been branching out into medical. Are you considering looking for people in, like, what is it that you really want from a customer? Is it in a certain industry, or is it some attributes that they have?
For me, what I like, if I just look at all of my clients, from a 30,000 foot view, the one thing that they all have in common is they have kind of a star factor. But the secret is everyone has it. So it's just the difference is, are they coming to me with it, or are we finding it in them? Are we creating it based on, other areas of their life or business? And so I think for me, what I am looking for in clients that I'm excited to work with are people that are just open to seeing who they are, to seeing what they have in themselves, to seeing where their business can go and what it can do.
So how are you working with people? So you work primarily one-on-one, and what's kind of the scope of the work that you will do with someone?
Really what I'm trying to do, and I would say, I have gotten away from all of the web development, because that was not something that excited me on a daily basis. That made for a lot of bad days at work. So all of that's outsourced. Really what I'm doing is just focusing on content. If they need a social strategy, then we're going to jump in and make sure whatever they're saying on social aligns with their, their business goals, with their brand. I would say pretty much everyone that I work with, we start out doing kind of either creating a brand from scratch or just freshening it up.
And do you have a process that you go through for kind of extracting that and making sure that it's on point?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's an interview process, and, I don't work with anybody that's like, well, here's my details, just make it happen. No, because if you don't care enough about how you are perceived to the world to be part of that process, then that says to me that all of your customer touch points are going to fall off. I'm not going to create a shiny new toy for them if they can't see the process through, if they're selling something, if they're selling services. So I'm not just going to make something and hand it off and then walk away. We need to make sure that, through an extensive interview process, all of their touch points line up. And we really do look at their business holistically, because it doesn't make sense to give them an expensive, shiny brand or website or collateral if they don't have anything in place to make it work.
Well, it's super interesting to me, because I am moving into working with clients. My sort of ideal clients right now are those people who have created sort of a body of work, right? And they have become almost a little bit of a celebrity in their space, whatever that might be. And these are typically not people who are really embracing being a celebrity in their space. It doesn't come naturally to them. They're thinkers,
No.
they're thought leaders, they are the people who, like I said, have built a body of work, and now they're backing into their business, right? And so they need to create a business underneath what they've created, right? This body of work. And they are often at the point where they've been traveling so much and all around the world to deliver their work and to speak, and they're tired, right? They want to create something underneath this that they can make money from doing something other than just traveling around. So in the same kind of way, these guys often aren't super clear on what their brand is. They don't have a real business underneath their work that they've created. And they're all starting from scratch. And so how do you do that, right? How do you back into a brand? Or are these guys, like you say you work with unconventional businesses? So what makes them unconventional? Are they already there in terms of?
So you actually just touched on a really prevalent, I don't want to call it a problem because I absolutely see it as an opportunity. But I think that for a lot of people who have, especially early adopters, people that have embraced this whole content creation lifestyle, so to speak, they're doing the work and 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 they're doing the work. And this brand has been created that might have been created accidentally. And what you need to do is to strip it down. Like, for it to be the most successful, you have to be able to distance yourself from the parts that aren't working. And that is, I would say, easily one of the hardest things that anybody has to do. If they're at that point where they just need to take it to the next level, they have to leave some things right where they are. And that's when you just have to have those real and sometimes difficult and sometimes, emotional conversations. What are you doing? Like, why are you saying the things that you need to say? Why are you creating this? Are you creating it because you need to create content to keep moving? Or are you creating the series of works because that's in tune with who you are and what your real message is? And until they can be clear on that, everything else is like, what is that? Like the plates spinning in the air, like they're all going to fall down until that real specific why and for who gets clarified. And that's sometimes hard to do when you're already in the middle of it.
Yeah, these guys tend to be quite academic. Like they have created something that people love already, but they don't know how to turn that into a brand, right? They don't know how to turn that into content. They don't know how to show up in the world. They've just kind of organically got them there. Yeah. But and so, what do they need to do? How do they need to take that from something that's just kind of grown organically to refine it and really work it, right?
So, I think the biggest thing, and I mean, obviously this is something that you see a lot in entertainment and less in business, but if you've created this thing, if you have just, like you were saying, organically created this thing that people are flocking to, a lot of times when you flip that switch and you're like, okay, now I need to do this from a business perspective and monetize it, then it's selling out. No, it's not selling out. It is 100% not ever, 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 ever selling out. You're already you have created, you are continuing to create this thing that people want, that they need. Why shouldn't you get paid for that? You're changing lives by the things that whether you are just giving somebody a half an hour of happiness when they're listening to your podcast, whether you're giving somebody 3 minutes of escape from a bad situation, listening to their song, whether you're giving someone, an hour of escape from their crazy kids while you're they're filling their head with Botox, whatever, you're doing something. that provides value in people's life. And you absolutely sure as shit need to be getting paid for it. And that's not selling out. That's not selling out. That's giving you the opportunity to do it on a bigger scale.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I see this all the time, especially with people who are in the health and wellness space,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in spirituality, because they
Ooh,
are,
that's another one.
it's like a lynch mob, right? They get
It is.
these people who are like, you shouldn't be charging for this, blah, blah,
Mm.
blah. And I'm like, wait a second. As someone who had to go and like find a solution to my own health issue that was very rare, and there weren't a lot of people out there talking about it, the fact that I could find somebody that was providing a service that would help me was like, I would have paid anything for that. Right.
Sure.
So it's a real hard thing, because people who are in like health and wellness, they tend to be, they tend to be very caring people, and they get affected by these folks who are like, shaming them for wanting to charge money. But I look at it like, maybe a little more relevant for your industry. Remember the potato salad guy?
No.
Okay.
No.
So the potato salad guy, he put on like one of the fundraising Kickstarter or something like that. He said, I'll make a potato salad for $10 or something like that. And and because it was so entertaining, he raised almost,
Yes.
I think
oh my gosh.
like hundreds
Stephanie,
of thousands.
I forgot.
Yeah, he raised like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And all these people were going to him and saying, you should donate that to charity. This is wrong. It's shameful, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, he provided entertainment. Every single one of those people parted with their $10 knowingly, and because they were entertained.
Right.
So who are we to say what's entertaining and what's not? The people who voted with their wallets were the ones who said that it was entertaining, and they bought it, right? So who knows? I don't know what he ended up doing with the money, and he did make his salad, but it was just like, nobody cared whether they got the salad. They were happy for like a brief moment of escapism and something to talk about.
Mm-hmm. And and one of the things, and I say this, I feel like I've had a version of this conversation with 100% of my clients. Don't spend people's money for them. Don't decide that you're not going to put something out, or you're not going to charge X number of dollars. Well, maybe that's too much. Maybe people can't afford it, or maybe like people will talk themselves out of making. I do it myself, but it is, people just talk themselves out of making money all day, every day. And you don't have to, you don't have to, it's not selling out. You are doing something worthy.
And people will let you know if you're doing something worthy and valuable by voting with their wallets, right? So yeah, this is a conversation I have a lot with people too, is just like, get out of your customers' wallets. You can't make up stories about them, because you don't know, right? You don't know what they're going through. You don't know, you don't know why they,
you don't know what they value.
Right. And you will not know why they decide to work with you and why they decide not to work with you. And it's a totally futile effort trying to understand that. You just got to keep going, right? And if you believe in the value of what you're providing, that's all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is probably my favorite part of what I do, because I'm not super woo-woo spiritual, nothing like that, but I so strongly believe that 100% of purchasing decisions are driven by emotion. Period.
100%.
Period. I don't care what the facts are.
And I know that you and I think the same way on this whole BS that's out there with the, the emotional, fear-driven, scarcity.
No, there's enough for everybody. There's enough money. There's enough whatever. There's enough time. You just got to reprioritize. And so, yeah, getting to the emotion of what is making them, what is the emotion that we're marketing? Because that's all marketing is. It's just putting emotion out into the universe, trying to make other people have emotions. That's it.
Yeah, it boils down to that, doesn't it? And creating a bit of a
relationship. I need to put that on a t-shirt.
I would buy that. And you're creating a relationship with your customer, right? And I don't mean in like the motherhood and apple pie kind of way. It's like, our relationship may be that you bought something from me. Our relationship may be that, like, look at influencers out there. We all feel close to them, to the ones that we really like. And we feel like we have relationship with them. And that means they've done their job.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's
and
it.
So this foundation of emotion and relationship, like it is prevalent, and it does not get created based on facts.
No.
So what does it get created on?
Well, it gets created, and I think this is the hardest thing, and I'm putting myself in this category. The hardest thing for anybody to understand and be okay with and then release it out into the world. Whatever content you're creating, whether it's an Instagram image or a song or a book or whatever you're creating and then putting into the world, nobody's going to receive it the same way. Nobody. Because everyone is approaching everything that they see through their own lens, and their own lens has been built by their parents and their community and like just an infinite number of variables. So you have to kind of detach from what the results are going to be. Now, don't detach from your goals, don't detach from your business. But once you put things out there, whether it's a social media post, whether it's a promo, an ad, whatever, put it out there and people will react the way that they react. It's not all going to be great. It's not all going to suck. People are going to see things the way that they emotionally are able to view them. So just put it out there.
And that's your power, right? That's
exactly,
a really powerful,
exactly
effective marketing tool, because half of marketing is repelling the people you don't want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't want to be everything for everybody.
No, that's exhausting, and it gets you nowhere.
No,
except for
sure. Yeah. So is there a formula? Is there a formula to being a good marketer? Is there a formula to building your influence?
Unpopular opinion time. I think that the formula is just tapping into yourself first so that you confidently know what you have to offer, and being able to see how that fits into other people's lives. So like I don't want to work with attorneys. I don't like creating that content. I don't have, like, my superpower is not fluff. I'm not going to sit there and read, a legal novel and try to make that exciting. Like I don't want to do it. So the formula is figure out who you are and what you want. And then you will then know which ways you can show up in the world. And again, that's if you're a small business, a big business, doctor, a rapper, direct, like whatever. You cannot market anything, and you cannot help people with their marketing unless you have a strong sense of self. And that shit's hard to find sometimes.
Yeah, this to me is something, and I know you've been in the digital marketing world as long as I have, and maybe even longer, but this to me is what has really pivoted. Oh my God, that word has really changed. We've had a conversation about the word pivot, which has really changed in the last sort of decade. Mm-hmm. And this focus, we see the rise of the solo entrepreneur now, which I think is really exciting. And I work almost exclusively with solo entrepreneurs and small businesses, right? But, the rise of the personality profile and how important your personality and who you are is to your business. And I know that there's been a lot of rejection around this because we're still trying to get used to it. But in the old world of business, when, before we had digital media to work with, talking about yourself was a no-no, right? It was, and like, who the hell wants to know what you ate for breakfast? Well, everybody now, right? And it's still rejected in some ways as like superficial, but actually what you're doing is you're creating a sense of self with the people that want to work with you and that want to buy from you. And it seems to me like we've had this sort of epiphany that me knowing you as a friend is going to make it much more likely that I'm going to want to buy something from you. And so how do we make a whole bunch of friends when we are, that doesn't scale? So we kind of make friends by showing people our personal lives. It doesn't mean we need to air our dirty laundry. It doesn't mean we need to show anything we're uncomfortable with, but we need to be people first.
That right there, that is the beginning and the end. is, you know, when you're sitting there with the client, like, well, you know, what we really want to do is just focus on our SEO. Okay, all of those things are great, and I'm happy to hear you want to focus on these things. Awesome. But who are you? I mean, really, like, who are you? And that's not an accusatory or critical question, but let's be real clear on the version of you that we're putting out into the world, because there's not a number of keywords or a ranking in Google that's going to drive your business. Who you are drives your business, and all of these other things, are secondary.
There's some objections to that, right? One of them is like, I'm a really private person. Another one is, I'm uncomfortable with this. I'm scared to put myself out there. Another one, and I think this was me for a very long time, is like, I'm just not that interesting, right? Like I don't know what I would talk about. I'm freaking boring, right? I can talk about business till I'm blue in the face and do
right.
that. But for the rest of my life, I mean, what the heck am I going to share? I am boring as F, right? So how do you do this with people, right? How do you get them to become these people when in their own world, they don't have that, they don't feel like they've got that much to share?
Well, I think, and I'm absolutely guilty of this, and so I can speak on this from both sides, is sometimes you're just used to yourself. You're just used to the things that you do. You're used to, like, you might do the cool, like, okay, let's go back to when I was in the Navy and I worked up in the tower, and my job every single day was watching planes take off the front of an aircraft carrier. And then I would go down to the LSO platform, and my little blonde 18, 19-year-old self was standing on the back of an aircraft carrier in the Gulf with a bunch of pilots making sure landing gear came down. I'm sorry, that's cool as shit. That is unbelievably cool, but I did it every day, so I was used to it. So I was like, oh, I gotta go to work again. And so I think just finding another set of eyes, a different perspective, shows you all the things that you're used to and bored with about yourself. There's a whole subset of people that are terribly excited about it. They're super into it. On Friday nights, we go drink wine at Kroger and come home and watch The Mandalorian. Not terribly exciting, but do you know how many people I can talk about Baby Yoda with? Like 1 billion. So it's just, you're mundane, you're boring is definitely someone else's jam. And it just takes the ability to look at it from a different perspective. That's it.
Well, it's having that mirror, right? And I think that that's a service that people like you can provide. And I know that as I've been talking to people, more and more about myself and my own story and my business, the things that people like latch onto, I would never, ever have thought were all that fascinating. They're just things that I did. Like I flew planes and I played roller derby and I'm a kiteboarder, and like, they're just things that I did. And people are like, whoa, that's so cool. That's
right.
So interesting. I'm like, really? Huh. Who knows what little piece, this little story that you have to tell is going to resonate so much with people. Mm-hmm. So how do you extract that?
Well, I don't want to necessarily give away trade secrets. It's not really a secret. But the one thing that I do with every client is ask them, so what? So like, okay, well, who are you? Well, I'm so-and-so. So what? Well, that's important because I provide the service. So what? Well, and there's a period, there's in the middle of this it's people get real defensive, but the point of the game is so what until you find what the emotion is. And that emotion dictates all of your content. And so, you provide a service. Okay, well, so what? Well, that frees up people's time so that they have more time with their kids. Okay, well, so what? Well, so they want to be good parents. Well, so the core of it is you're providing something that is allowing someone else to create memories with their children. Who's going to say no to that? Who's going to say no to that? So you just, Nobody wants to hear your elevator pitch. Nobody wants to hear your resume. Nobody wants to hear all of the letters and all of the certifications that come after your name. Who cares? So what? What are you doing for them? So what?
Yeah, I love that. I love distilling that. It's the bread and butter of finding your clients and selling. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's go back to your business. So what has growth meant to you? Like what's worked for you in terms of growth?
So, you're asking that at a really interesting time, because I have taken this whole fourth quarter of 2019 to pull a Marie Forleo to make my life figure outable. I had some pretty significant life changes this year, and my business was growing at like a weird rate, and it wasn't making sense for my life. So I've had to play the so what game with myself and figure out, what do I really want to do? What do I really care about? And how can I make this fulfilling client work fit in with my life? So my significant other and I, like we have now cohabitated, and he's got 7 kids. And so every other week it is
Wait, 7?
7 between the ages of 4 and 17. So we have like super crazy busy and then a week of peace, and then super crazy busy and then a week of peace. So I've really needed to kind of readjust my workflow so that it can fit with my life flow. And I feel really fortunate that I'm at the position that at this point in my life where I'm able to do that. And, I don't have to, burn it all down around me to make something new grow. I'm able to morph that. So what that has meant for me is doing a lot less favors, a lot less discounts, a lot less, oh, no problem, I'll take care of it for you. And so that has really helped me distill down the things that kind of fuel my fire. And so that's allowing me to go into 2020 with a tighter ship, and a clearer focus and more purpose, so that I'm ultimately able to serve my clients better. So growth, in a short sentence, growth for me has been taking a step back and shrinking a little bit.
I love that. And it's a very honest answer. It is, you and I have had lots of conversations about this BS that's out there, right? With the hustlepreneurs and the hustle hard and and that I stand for slow. Yeah, I stand for slow business. I stand for intentional business. Mm-hmm. And I love that growth for you has meant actually slowing down and taking stock. So we grow in these cyclical these cyclical patterns. Mm-hmm. So what's next for you? I mean, like what does 2020 look like for you? Is there growth in 2020?
So I think for me, I'm finding that as the dust settles a little bit, I don't have to create my own niche because it's coming to me in streams. Medical is a huge one. And, I'm seeing a lot more in the real estate environment. I'll always have a foot in entertainment, just because that's what made me. But that is an exhausting, brutal industry. And I was thinking about it the other day, and like, I don't have the patience for this. And oh my gosh, how amazing is it that I don't have to. I have enough fuel, irons in the fire, that I don't have to rely on that. I don't have to do the soul sucking. I love creating, and I love creating something that so many people are going to enjoy. But just the day-to-day of that whole industry is something that I am fortunate that I can distance myself from a little bit, but still remain close enough that I can use all of those same strategies for all of my other clients. It's kind of a win-win.
Yeah. So what is there a specific area you see yourself growing into? Is there something that you're particularly interested in?
I mean, Stephanie, I feel like this is really ironic because I believe it was the very first conversation I ever had with you. I'm finally going to launch my course. This has been 2 or 3 years. I don't know. It's been a minute since I started on this bad boy. And yeah, it's finally about to go out into the world.
Well, so
that
tell us about
big.
it. What is it?
It's called Boy Band Your Brand.
Oh,
so I am a psychotic boy band fan, specifically New Kids on the Block, and the other ones are great too. And what I discovered is when you look at a boy band, and this is interchangeable, but using a boy band as an example, they all follow the same formula. And that same formula is exactly how you come up with any brand. So, I mean, what we're going to do is just teach people how to have those fans that will just lose their mind over whatever it is you're selling. Hopefully with some choreography, but whatever.
My son wants to start a boy band.
Oh my gosh, does he really?
He's right into
I will
it.
help him.
Oh,
I will teach him how to do a full 8-count choreography.
He actually loves singing, and he's a really good singer. He's got a really nice voice, but he watches the boy band videos like you wouldn't believe. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So impressive.
Direction. That other one that came out that I don't remember and hope
BTS.
Remember?
BTS is a thing right now. I don't understand.
No, yeah, I don't know.
They've taken over Twitter, but listen, I'll talk boy bands all day.
Yeah. Oh, I know, Ed. So I love this boy band your brand. And I remember when you were first starting to work on this, what, like years ago?
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah.
So is this like one of those things? And I have a theory that this is what happens is like these things come into our lives when they're ready, right? And what was the condition like back when we first started talking a couple of years ago that didn't allow that to happen? Like what's changed?
So there's a lot of things that have changed. I mean, really 100% of my life has changed since then. I just wasn't, ironically, I wasn't comfortable with the visibility that comes with that should come with, a launch. I just had my own life stuff that I needed to handle. And I just feel like if I would have launched then, and let's say it was wildly successful, I wouldn't have been ready for the other side of that. And I really needed, because so much of my business has been built just like doing the next thing and doing the next thing and doing the next thing. And so it really wasn't until this year that I was able to be a little bit more clear on what I was doing and why I was doing it and why it mattered. And so now I feel like I have a better foundation so that I can launch that and it doesn't shake the foundation. It doesn't, it's just part of it. It's just an additional thing.
I think a lot of people get caught up in their plans, right? And they have these check marks, right? And they're like, I need to do this, I need to do that. And listen, if you had gone and launched that when you weren't ready, you it may not have gone so well, and B, that would have left you going, well, I can't do courses, right? And we have to be really intuitive in our business. We have to listen, and we have to know that, yeah, we can commit to a bunch of time and effort to something and not launch it, right? And not go forward with it at the moment. I did the same thing. I built a course, and now I've decided to wait until the new year to launch it, and it was the right decision. The conditions are going to be better. I'm going to be more ready, and that's just the way it goes. So it's not like no one's going to die if you decide that you're not going to you're not going to go forward.
But it's funny because for me, I got into the whole, like, I don't know, shame cycle. Well, I said I was going to do it and then I didn't do it. Well, why didn't I do it? And well, then that messes with your head and it messes with your confidence. Well, if I didn't put it out when I said I was going to put it out, then maybe I shouldn't do it at all. And no, the bottom line is it's good stuff. It is an entertaining set of modules that is not just doing an endless video series. It's not a course to start and then not finish. I mean, everybody says that and everybody does it, but you know what I mean? So I feel like I needed to figure out my own stuff so that I could confidently move in this direction. And I don't know, you've got to be ready for success. And I was not.
That's amazing advice. And I think a lot of people need to hear that right now. Okay, I have a question that I ask for everybody, and I can't wait to hear your answer to this
Oh
one.
gosh.
I know we have had conversations about this many, many times. So, what do you think is the biggest gap between what's real? We're all about being real here. What's real and what we hear out there in the online business world?
Woo, mama. That is okay. So here's the deal. It's all real, even the bullshit, because even the bullshit will work for the bullshitters. You just have to find the thing that you resonate with. Like, I tend to be like here it is. I'm just putting it all out there, and you love it or you hate it, you buy it or you don't, whatever. And I'm not super blunt, but I'm just pretty I approach things from kind of like a matter of fact standpoint. There are some people that really, really need the woo. And there are some people that really, really need that degrading, like, hustle, 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 or you're worthless. And so I think that the reality, sorry, we've got an appraiser here taking pictures of that. The reality is actually somewhere in the middle. Like, you've just got to find your thing, and whatever works for you, that's the real thing. And I think what I see happen a lot is that if you're firmly in the hustle, hustle camp, you see all the woo, 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 and then you either write it off and think it's stupid, or you wonder what you're missing. Either way, you're not hustling. If you're in the woo camp, you see all these hustlers with their Lambos and their models, and you're like, well, what am I, if they're making all this money, what am I doing wrong? The bottom line is, nothing is for everyone. And that's what's real. That is the only thing that's real. What's real for you is you find your thing that works. And whatever it is, all of the rest of it, you can roll your eyes at.
Or not, or just ignore it and carry on with whatever
Yeah.
you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I like that answer. That's an awesome answer. And it gives us a lot more like peace, because I think we feel like we have to raise our flags and be like, I'm in this camp. But really, you're just throwing a lot of your energy into something that just doesn't matter, right?
Exactly.
Okay. What do you wish you knew before you got started?
I think the biggest thing that I wish, taxes. Taxes is what I wish I knew first. And budgeting appropriately for the ebbs and flows of business ownership. But no, outside of that, I think that I wish that I knew that I was able to follow my gut a lot more frequently than I was. I talked to myself and second guessed myself out of a lot of things. And I enabled my early clients to do the same thing. And that's crap. That is crap. Follow your gut. It's going to be right. It's going to be the right move, even if it feels scary.
Yeah.
And I wish that I would have known that earlier. I
agree. And I think part of it is developing a skill to be able to know what that actually means for you.
Exactly.
Right? So I have a feeling. I think a lot of people have to work from their feelings a lot more than they do. And I'm so not a woo-woo person, but that's just real, right? Like when I feel something in my gut, it's actually like a physical reaction.
Exactly.
I'm just going to go with that, even though I can't explain it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We're coming up on time. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Obviously, we could talk for a really long time. Can you tell our listeners how they can find you?
So you can find me at 1913company.com. That's 1913company.com. Or if you just want to reach out to me and be like, hey, weirdo, you can find me on Instagram at Nikki Says What. That's Nikki, because that's the only way you spell Nikki.
Now, you mentioned you had a free offer to share with our listeners. We'll put all of this information in the show notes, but tell us a little bit more about what you've got for them.
You know what, we'll just do a quick and easy Instagram audit, and we can take a look at what it is you are putting out into the world via Instagram and make sure that it's lining up with what you think you want to say.
Awesome. Well, I think maybe even I need to do that.
No problem.
Awesome. Amazing. So thank you, Nikki. That's an amazing gift. That's an awesome gift. And go ahead and take advantage of that because Nikki knows her stuff. All right. Thank you. Thank you again. That's a wrap for this episode. Such an amazing conversation. Make sure you go and check out Nikki spelled correctly, with her incredible offer. And thanks so much for tuning in today to hear this story. The episodes that you're listening to are all featuring members of my free private Facebook group called the Real Deal Business Coaching Group, where we have daily prompts to keep you focused on building your business and sharing your everyday challenges, bi-weekly virtual coffee chats, open coaching, and member support from this incredible community. Everyone in there is doing the same thing you are. If you want to join our community or if you want to be featured on this show, I would love for you to come and hang out with us in the group. Links in the show notes, or search up Real Deal Business Coaching in Facebook to find us. And finally, I would love for you to join us for our next episode where we're going to be speaking to Barbara Evans, who's a designer and brand champion for businesses that want to make a big difference in their little world. So thanks again for being here. And if you've enjoyed today's content, I would love for you to give us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. This helps us share these stories with an even bigger audience. So until next time, keep building, keep dreaming, and keep being real.